This is all Sean Racino's brainchild, and mostly the fruits of his labor. He's done an awful lot of work on this, so we'll definitely thank him for this at the end here. So he talked to me about this a few months ago, and I thought it was a great idea because I think that the industry is growing tremendously. By the way, I'm Joe Linhoff. I'm a professor here at DePaul. I've also been in the game industry for a long time. Worked at Midway and a bunch of companies in California. But I think the game industry has grown an awful lot. It's grown an awful lot, mostly I think at the high end, mostly the console, and the amount of money that's being made now in the game industry is tremendous. And a lot of focus has been kind of put in this, just in this console market for teenage boy games. And I think there is a real opportunity, to come in and make other kinds of games and kind of instead of growing like in such a small vertical band of the industry, to try to grow horizontally and different kinds of games that haven't been made before by a lot of different developers, small developers, and I think that this is a chance for the industry right now. XNA is a big deal. There's a lot of ways that small developers can take a simple step and get into it, and that's kind of what I would hope something like this would help. Is these small developers, just help them take that first step into making games that aren't necessarily the big console games right away. Those games are really hard to make, and they take a lot of resources and a lot of people, and they're out of the reach of most small teams. But there's a lot of games that are not out of the reach of small teams, and I think that's where this panel and Sean's idea really can come in, as we can hopefully learn tonight. Ways to kind of take that first step, and going through some of the mundane stuff, the quote-unquote mundane stuff, setting up companies, etc., and go through how different markets that are available, and how these panelists have kind of found them, and developed business models that work with these markets. I think that hopefully we'll learn a lot today, and then we'll. So the format of, well, let me start over. So hopefully we'll learn a lot today from this. So let me, for the panelists, all introduce themselves, tell a little bit about how they got started, and maybe a little bit about what they're doing, and so on. So go ahead.
My name is Gianfranco Berardi. I run GB Games LLC. I started pretty much as a kid when I got my Apple II and realized that I can actually make it do things. Since then, I've just been pretty much interested in video games, their development, and culture around it. I think that's about it for me right now.
My name is Chauncey Hollingsworth. I'm the owner of Zephyr Syndicate. We're a web development firm, it's a studio here in Chicago, Illinois. I actually got my start doing writing. I used to do freelance writing for Playboy, Maxim, Details, all sorts of different magazines and periodicals, the Chicago Tribune, Reader, other newspapers. Probably like everyone here, I was also a computer hobbyist for years and years, and I've always had multiple computers around me and I've always been doing different things with them. So with Zephyr Syndicate, I started with a partner who's now minimally involved. It's pretty much myself and a few people work for me. We've tried to create sites that are immersive realms, and I hate to steal that, but it's just a good phrase, immersive realms. And I feel like, yeah, you're right, exactly. And I feel like there's a lot of crossover now between the web industry and the games industry, not only because of Flash, but also because of the demands of websites. Websites aren't just brochureware anymore. There's more and more interactivity that's demanded. There's more and more, more of a play kind of atmosphere. I feel that websites are moving in. So, although my resume here is probably the lightest in terms of game development, I feel like there's still some dovetail there. So that's my story.
I'm Sean Ricento. I'm sure you guys heard me already. I started up Immersive Realms, and it all started when I was about 4 or 5, when I used to take my cereal boxes. I actually remember the Wheaties box I used to cut out and tape and glue to make like a Pac-Man-ish type of game on there. So it all kind of spawned to that. I started my game developing on trash 80 color computers. Well, you guys remember that type of machine. But that's where it all started for me. And Immersive Realms.
My name's Mike Bay. I currently work for PopCap Games, but prior to that, I started a company in 2001 called Retro 64, and basically it's the same thing. We were just acquired by PopCap last year, and it all started sort of when my dad bought me my first Commodore 64, and just been in the games ever since.
All right. Okay, so let me go over a little bit about the format that we're going to follow. We've got a few different rounds, and I'm going to kind of introduce the topic, then we're going to go through it. Everybody's going to kind of give a little discussion on that round, and then depending on the time, we'll ask some questions of each other. At the very end, we'll have a big general question and answer session with everybody. So, okay, so we're going to start with kind of what Sean had dubbed the mundane stuff, and you know, I think this is the kind of stuff that won't necessarily help your game design. It won't necessarily help you make a game that is a huge hit, but it can really, I think, kill your venture if you're not careful in setting stuff up in the beginning. And this includes you know, legal issues, business issues, and a lot of those kind of accounting things. So we're going to cover this first one. Everybody's got a lot of energy in the wake. So go ahead.
As I said, I have GB Games LLC, it's a limited liability company, and I imagine a lot of you probably don't know what the difference between that and S-Corp and all these different things. I actually went through and learned all that. Rather than go to a lawyer or an accountant and pay them an extra few $100s, I actually did all the research on my own to figure out how to file this. So now I have my own company. It's Illinois actually sent me a letter back saying, here's your employer ID number, and it was an exciting day, and then I filed it away. So other than that, it's just, okay, so now I have to worry about accounting. Each year, besides sending off a file saying, you know, here's a check to continue running my business, I also have, you know, my business expenses. I don't have enough income yet to be able to consider it profit, so it's mostly expenses now. And other than that, as far as business concerns, it's just a matter of making sure all that stuff is taken care of, and then I can focus on actual game development.
Yeah, I was going to say, talking about setting up your own company, there's a ton of resources out there that will give you information that you need to go about registering your company's name, figuring out if you want to be an S-Corp, an LLC. You know, just off the top of my head, for example, if you're just going to be a sole proprietorship, you're probably going to want to be an S-Corp. If you're looking for partners, you're probably LLC is the way to go. It depends on your own situation. There's a ton of books out there. I think Nolo is a publishing company that actually puts out books on incorporating, and they actually go state by state. When I first incorporated, actually, I was incorporated years ago with a company called Schema Studios, where we have 5 partners. And I don't know if any of you have worked with partners before. We were talking about this before, but don't start a company with 5 partners. One of the things, this isn't so much an administrative thing, but I would say when you're starting a company, one of the temptations is to have a partner, because usually you're talking about it with a friend or a couple of friends, and you have all these great ideas, and you're sitting around BSing over coffee, and you're thinking, man, this would be great if we all got together and made our company. You've got this idea about this enterprise, and how it's going to be this cool organization, and you think of it like, we're all going to be roommates hanging out and busting out this cool stuff, and it's going to be great. Well, the fact of the matter is that everyone has their own conception of what this is. We've all, or probably all, have had relationships with some type of partner of some kind. So, you know how that is, where you have a perception and the other person has a perception, and a lot of times those things don't exactly perfectly mesh up. Well, try having 5 or 4 other voices in there, 10 hands on the wheel, and you can see that it's very difficult. The more partners you have to actually move forward. I'm sort of of the opinion now that most business enterprises should probably be dictatorships. I don't think that we should have a partnership. If you do decide to have a partner, I would recommend following a couple of steps of due diligence. One would be find out as much about your partner as you really can. I mean, imagine it as a marriage. Especially, obviously there's going to be finances involved.